Alireza Firouzja is one of the best chess players in the world. But who is he taking on in this video? Welcome to Guess the Opponent. It's only at the end where I reveal who he is playing. Throughout, I'll be giving clues as to who the player is. So first up, we're going to check out two games. His opponent has white against Firouzja. This game took place in Tartar steel. So d4, knight f6. And we get the King's Indian defense. A very aggressive way to play. Nowadays, when Firouzja takes on fellow top players, he doesn't play the King's Indian all the time. e4, d6, and now h3. Now, what's the point of this? You put the bishop on e3. You stop knight coming out to g4. The bishop over defends the center. And another idea is g4. In the game, knight c6 was played just to challenge the center, and now d5, knight e5. Looks really weird to just put your knight here, get kicked around, which is what happened. Now, I just want to show you, after this, another approach is e5. And we got a few moves here. You could go d5, you could even go knight e2. But this is a cool way to play. Because what's the point of this move? g4. It's just one way to play. Typical moves in the King's Indian. Just want to show you this cool setup here. Knight g3 is possible. You can even go f3. You actually reroute in this fashion. Your pawn is here. It can even go to g5. Really, you're just trying to show that white has too much space against the King's Indian. After bishop e3, Firouzja chose to attack the center straight away, giving his opponent a chance to overexpand. But that is exactly what you want to go for. f4. Looks like this position is just incredible. I mean, look at the 4 pawns in center. I mean, make it a fifth. How do you play like this? Well, Firouzja has a plan. Just like many King's Indian players, the plan is to give white center and then find a way to counterattack. c6, finding a way to break through. Knight out. Take, take. Knight c5. Looks good. Finding a way to attack the center, but not at the moment. And just to show you, this is why. Let's turn on the engine. Knight c5, not the best move, because it turns out we can give it up and then push. Take, take, and then we go e5. Just slowly trying to crash through the center. The knight moves, and then we might get the bishop out. We might go here and here. And it's got this beautiful structure, just trying to constrict the black pieces. Now, back to the game. Let's turn it off. b6 was played. Why did Firouzja go for this? Because now knight c5 is the idea. However, it does give his opponent the chance to go knight d4. Coming into c6. Knight c5 still played. Now, when I saw this position, I was thinking maybe bishop out. Queen f3 was the move played in the game, which we'll discuss soon. But there was this option, knight c6, just going straight in. And that's exactly what the engine wants to go for. Let's say the queen moves, and then we can go bishop here. Now, when I saw this position, I was a little bit worried about this, because maybe knight d3 check, but, well, actually, now we get this situation. This knight is stronger, so it's time to trade. Maybe this consideration, it was a bit unnatural for me, because it's such a gigantic decision to give up the bishop. Take, and we're going to take this way towards the center, and then 1, 2. I think white's all right. You actually castle, well, you can't castle kingside, so let's castle queenside, and then white can keep playing. You've got this gigantic center. And just to show you, in this position, take, can't take this way because e5. You just get a crash through. You just get run over in the center. This bishop's open, the queen d2 castle is coming up. Now in the game, the guy went queen f3. Now what's the point of this? Well, castle, e5, g5. Bishop here, putting some pressure here. Now if you castle, black's going to go e6, breaking open center. So the guy has to act fast, and that's exactly what he does. g5. Now it's very forcing. Bear this position in mind. It's move 14, gigantic pawn structure here. However, this structure is about to disappear. Firouzja crashes through the center. Take, and then bishop takes. I mean, he didn't have to, but if he didn't, he might just get squashed. Wherever the knight moves, I don't really like black's position at all. You might just castle, you might just go here. Here, you might go here, but maybe you go f5, you just castle, take, take, now take. Only way to give up this knight in a good way is knight f6. Check, take, and then take. rook e8. Hit, only way to defend. Only good way, I mean. Now take. Now this bishop is going to take his pawn next. So the guy gets out of the way by castling. You don't want to take, because this, you're crashing through here, and it's very difficult to have a good home for the king. Castle, get out of the way of the e-file as well. That's why castling is such a good move. Take. Bishop d4, great move from him, offering a trade. This is a blunder, because queen f6. And now you're coming in. You are coming in on d4, it's too dangerous. If you go here, offering a trade, no trade. Just keep an eye on the piece. Queen here, probably rook here. Rook here looks really good, just to prove it. Black is now taking over. Rook here, double attack. That's how dangerous it is. So going back a few moves here, just to prove it. Bishop takes as a blunder. You can see the engine now is -3. Queen f6. On here, queen here. Queen moves, and then rook here. Now is +8. Totally winning. In the game, good practical decision. Offering a trade of bishops. They come off. Knight retreats. Good backward move. Very important, because then it defends the f2, the f4 pawn as well. Now look at this position. On move 15, I think, look at all the green squares. There used to be white pawns, but now they are all gone. And in return, white does have this bishop in order to control some light squares. Let's see what happens. Queen f6. Bishop b5, hit the rook, and now knight b4. It's so important that you use your bishop to control these squares. Knight might come in. I've highlighted the possible options for black in the future. If you can get your pawns rolling, then maybe you're doing all right. But at the moment, your king's there. d5. Rook f1. Defend the bishop. Hit the knight. Some beautiful coordination by his opponent. The knight is a perfect blockader. Notice in this situation, black has 4 pawns for the piece. White has 3 pawns. Black has 7. So 4 pawns for the minor piece. Rook f3, rook g1, and now blunder, king f8, just to show you it is a blunder here. Another option is h5. Now what's the reason? If you go h4, now g4, this is the idea. That's why I was just checking with the engine. What's the difference? Now if we go back to the game, how did Firouzja blunder? I mean, it looks perfectly natural, just to get out of the way. This is now a blunder. h4 is now possible. You can't go g4 because you lose it. That's why we needed this pawn here to help. And you might be thinking, well, big deal. I mean, this is Firouzja's plan anyway. Don't want to push your pawns too far. Let's keep it intact. The guy now opens up the h-file and swings it over. Rook h3. Turns out white might be getting some attacking chances. Knight actually sits well here, and there's another move coming up. So rook h3. You can see now white is +2. Let's turn it off. Bishop c4. The knight is very good, and this bishop isn't brilliant, so his opponent finds a way to trade off. And that is exactly what happens. Take, and now queen h2. I think that's a brilliant move. This could have been a move Firouzja missed. Brilliant swing over. With this move, it's about rook h6 really. When I saw this, I thought maybe you come in on a square, queen here, queen back. Also, the rook can come here, the knight is perfect in the center. But it's really about this move. f2. Rook here. Hit the queen. And now we take the pawn. Very important, the knight guards the square. Rook f2. There was no way to defend it here. No way. Completely winning now for white. Take. Let's see the rest. White is now starting an attack with a5. Trying to break it open. a5. Firouzja takes. But it allows a check. And, well, what I mean to say is it allows knight c5. Coming in on a light square. Check. And now check. Turns out we're going to flush the king out. Can't go in the corner because you're going to take. And then it's mate on b7. Check. And then mate. So after this, king here. Check. King here. And now check. Can't go here because you lose your queen. f6, and one more move. Very clean move in my opinion. Knight e4 check, finishes it off. Wherever the king moves, we can take on f6. Game over. Even knight g5, we can pick that pawn up as well. Rook f6 looks really good as well. Here, take, and then it's not knight takes. It's even better, just to show you. Because I was thinking knight takes. No, even better, more precise. Let's actually bring the queen back. And yeah, plus totally winning now. Yeah, just a small point here. I was thinking this a bit careless. I mean, you can see the engine's now +3. You got your rook, and you still got a couple of pawns to deal with. But in this position, here, we can bring the queen back. Great. It's a great move here. Now we're going to pick up the queen for sure. Not only that, we're going to pick up the rook. Really cool finish. So the first clue is this guy was a former World Championship challenger. Next game. Last game I'm going to show before I reveal who this player is. This game took place in Title Tuesday. So his opponent has white again against Firouzja. c6, d4, d5. So we have the Caro-Kann. Firouzja really likes this opening. Take, take. Bishop d3. This is the exchange variation. Stop the bishop coming out. Hit the center, defend. And now h3. With this type of position, it's a big deal, actually. It's a big deal to not give black the chance to get the bishop out. So imagine if you played here, bishop could come out. Even better for black is if the knight goes to its natural square, which just looks like a good move. It's a little bit of a problem. Here, just keep it. And now the point of this is 1, 2, 3. The bishop is now out the chain. You can even come back to offer a trade. So it's very important to play a move like h3, even bishop f4 is possible as well. g6. And now bishop f5. So Firouzja gets the bishop out a different way, and the guy chooses to keep the bishops on. Gigantic decision in my opinion, because it looks like the bishop on f5 is very strong. So we have castle, rook e1, knight d7. Now what's the point of this move? Firouzja wants to go for a pawn break. Bishop f4, so slightly discouraging that, and you don't really want to go e5 at the moment, because take, this is going to be weak. Isolated pawn. I know it's defended by the queen, but you don't really want to go for this at the moment. So what does Firouzja do? Prepares it with f6, e5. Bishop h2 played by his opponent. 1, 2, 3, 4 are threatening to go e5, and the funny thing is, black shouldn't go e5 right now. The reason is, after this, this pawn is hanging. This is the dream, but it drops. And I don't really think you want to go for this, because you get your isolated pawn. I mean, it's a totally different way to play, but I would rather have 2 pawns in center. So if we go to this position, Firouzja just waits for one move. And by wait, I mean he plays a useful move, because the knight on b6 means the queen now defends the center. a4, getting space. Knight d2, and now e5. So queen doesn't hit d5 anymore, but it doesn't matter. e5's coming anyway. Now, very interesting position. Just want to turn on the engine, because I find it a little bit unbelievable. Look at the evaluation. It's +2. White is completely winning. And I think one reason is because there are going to be a few squares for white to work around on the queen side. a5, and then knight b3. I'm going to keep the engine on just for a few moves. Now, why is white winning? Oh my gosh. Lots of squares are controlled. Whenever that pawn moves, this bishop is now in the game. And if you take, no way, you just take back, and there's no center. It's even worse now. You can see the engine just shoot to +6, which is, in my opinion, absolutely ridiculous. How can this position be +6? Black is not even down any material. So knight here, e4. Now it does open this bishop. Knight d2. And now knight f1. Really cool journey from the knight. Planning to come to e3. With this move, you put pressure on d5. You also, later, you could play f3 to chip away at the center. So let's see what happens. Bishop just goes back. Planning to go f5. Knight here. Attacks the bishop. It drops back. No, it doesn't. The queen defends the bishop. Oh yeah, it's very important because I've just seen you attack b7 as well. So queen here defends and defends the bishop. Queen b3. Lots of options for white. Let me explain. So with this move, you're attacking b7. This bishop is in business. Slicing the board. You've got this pawn break. You've got this as well. I think that's important because then you also put pressure in the center. Lots of options for white. And just to show you, it is now +3, +4. Rook a7. Defend along the side because you can't go to b8. That's how good this bishop is. It's incredible the way that this game has turned out. Knight here, bishop back, now knight takes d5. When I saw this position, I was just thinking rook d8. But there's this absolutely stunning move when I checked it out before. Absolutely brilliant move from this guy. And I bet he saw it. Bishop here. You can't keep the rook on the d file. So if you move the rook away, now you can take, and then you can come through. Brilliant way to crash through. What a move. What a move. And you cannot take because now you get forked. So it's bishop c7 is a wonderful move. So it turns out with this pressure, there's no good way to defend it. You can't move the queen because you drop the bishop. So bishop back to g8. Take on d5. And now c4. Now this option is possible, but Firouzja chooses to open up first because then the bishop is also attacking d4. This move comes in. And now you attack me, I attack your queen as well. The queen retreats. Queen h4. Hit the queen, and now come back. Really cool way to reroute. The bishop actually comes back towards the center in order to kick away that knight. Capture happens. Now f4. But this move is too forcing. It really is. One reason, in my opinion, that white is much better is because he's going to find a way. There's going to be a way to trade off this brilliant bishop. And with Firouzja's next move, f4, you're just encouraging white to put the bishop on d4 anyway. And with this move, not only that, this is going to drop. That's the problem. Overexpansion. And Firouzja is in big trouble. Hit the rook, but you take that one. There's no good way to defend the black e4 pawn. Take. I think king g2 is alright, but really, really cool move. Rook a3, getting all the pieces in the game. I mean, look at this. Two knights in the center. That's about to come off. Brilliant rook in the center. Brilliant rook lift. Queen actually sits very well on its starting square, controlling the board. All of white's pieces are in total harmony. Knight comes back in the game. Rook e7, looking like it forces a decision. Rook f7. Now, I was going to trade down, but the guy plays rook e6, attack the queen first. The bishop's come off, and now taking the knight, so that's why. Yeah, rook f7. I've just realized here the bishop controls this square. So when Firouzja played rook f7, now it gives his opponent this double attack. You attack the knight as well, and the knight drops. Bishops come off, and then you take. Queen c4. Looks like maybe that knight is hanging, but his opponent plays his brilliant move, which is an X-ray defense. Rook c3. Attack the queen, defend the knight. Fantastic move. Queen here. So he's a knight down, but he's still got to finish off. Very clinical. Knight f6. Take. No hope for black, really. Take. Rook comes back in the game. Queen d4 is great, just to stop the guy moving. Rook d4. Rook g3. I really like this. I mean, everything's covered, mate. And that pawn isn't even being recaptured. You can drop the knight back. Oh yeah, this move is really good because the rook attacks the queen. The queen has to move. Hitting f2. Doesn't matter. You're going to take the check and you come back. You take my rook. And I take your rook. And with this, you are also threatening mate on g8. Check. Forcing the capture. And I just want to show you, it is now move 46. But if we go back here, this is move 31. So for the next 15 moves, this guy shows class, in my opinion. From move 31 to 46, you actually allow Firouzja to have a pawn on g2, and it didn't get anywhere. Move 46, it was finally captured, and the only reason it was captured was because it was forced. Check, you got to take. Spike check doesn't do anything. By the way, you can't move the bishop because you're pinned along the back. So check, knight blocks, and game over. Can't take because mate, and you are just a knight down. So here is another clue. He won a very famous tournament. There were 11 rounds and he actually won 7 games in a row. Now that could be a big clue to who this guy is. Another thing I notice is when he conducts his interviews, he speaks in a very soft manner, but it's a very clear and concise manner. When this guy speaks, I feel there's no fluff. So before I reveal the player, let's go for a quiz for the key moments. Knight c5 has just been played to attack the center. Queen f3 was played, but you remember what else could have been played? Knight c6, attacking the queen. When the queen moves, now we can play queen here, maybe bishop here, even a capture. I just wanted to mention this here. The whole point of this is that this knight is very strong. And now we have this option. Don't do this because e5 you get run over. Next key moment, rook g1 has just been played. Do you remember what Firouzja could have played here instead of king f8? Another option was h5. Because the guy's plan was here, but now he can go g4. Next key moment, king recapture has just been played. Just going back a couple moves, take. Now white is totally winning here. King looks really weak. Do you remember what white played now? Queen h2, really nice swing. Just trying to pick up the queen, and queen is acting, it's controlling the whole board really. First key moment of the second game, rook e1 has just been played. Do you remember what Firouzja now played as black? What kind of setup did he go for? He went knight d7 because he wanted to go in e5. Now the guy went bishop f4, and the setup that Firouzja went for was f6, trying to get e5 in. Knight here, and e5 now. Next moment, knight e3 attacking the center. The guy actually just retreated the bishop, but what is wrong with rook d8? Because it looks alright, you're just defending the center. White has this brilliant move, bishop to c7. Can't take because of this. And if you move the rook, now we can actually cash in and then take this one. Final key moment from the second game. Pawn takes pawn has just been played. A normal move is king takes, but you remember what the guy played here. It's a nice defensive move. Look out for this type of maneuver in your own games. Rook a3. Defending along the third. Rook is now in the game, and later the guy won. Let me just mention all the clues again. So first up, he's a former World Championship challenger. He won a famous tournament. He won 7 games in a super tournament. Incredible. 7 in a row. When he conducts his interviews, he's very calm and composed. Very concise in his speech. There's no fluff. And one more clue, he is from America. So now's your chance to pause, or I'm going to reveal the player. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So it turns out in the 2 games I selected for this video, Firouzja was playing Fabiano Caruana. So the first game was Tartar Steel, January 2020, classical game, and the second game was a titled Tuesday game. Here's YouTube's choice for what to watch next in the top left, and my selection in the bottom right. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.